Hey, hello everybody. Welcome into the channel. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm going to take a couple of minutes while I'm just saying basically an intro to this Dan Rivera and the passing away, the Annabella doll, and basically me explaining to you what spiritual downloads I was receiving unaware of it being linked to the Dan Rivera situation. Okay. I'm hoping that this video is not going to be too long. I could sit down. I'm getting the downloads that are coming. They've been just coming day after day after day. Yesterday it was hit after hit after hit. I'm writing notes and I have this book. Like, I'll explain it, but I have this book and I have all these pages like bookmarked. It's like a big road map to my spirit guides guiding me to sort of a possibility here of what has happened, what could have happened in this situation. I also have a warning for another state, which I will get to. So first off, I'm gonna light. I'm gonna do a sage stick before I get into this. But while I'm doing that, I do want to say my condolences do go out to Dan Rivera, his family, his colleagues. My condolences go out to anybody, any family member who's been affected by any of the chaos and tragedies that have been happening across the U.S. All right. But at the same time, we kind of need to delve into this a little deeper and start looking at this from different perspectives, okay? So, while I'm doing a little bit of this sage, go ahead, grab a drink, grab a snack, your vape, whatever it is that you do. Chill out in a chair, a comfy chair, spread on your bed, lay down, whatever you want to do to get comfortable, because I'm hoping not to make this too long. It could have gone on longer, but I had to stop because I was feeling like I was getting too deep, but I think I got enough information to be able to come on and talk to you. Okay, so let's start off. So last weekend, I did attend a Monster Jam truck event, and it was further west from where I live. Not too much farther, right? So we're looking at like 25, 30-minute drive, okay? While I was at that event, there was a specific truck, and I did post a short on it, and the truck was called Metal Monster. So that's important to note, is the Metal Monster. In the video, I did joke about one of the trucks coming through, which was Metal Monster, doing a sharp turn and stirring up dust, okay? And it did look like it was creating a dust devil. And so I did joke about that. Of course, that was Saturday the 12th. I do not watch the news. I had no idea Dan Rivera was on tour with this supposedly possessed doll, Annabelle. Had no clue. I do not watch the news for a reason. I have a very busy job that is affected by what happens in the news. So it's a bit much for me, especially being an empath. I pick up a lot of the energies around me. I do pick up people's anxieties, frustrations, worries. So I really have to not watch a lot of the news, okay? So I had no idea. None whatsoever. Completely oblivious. as I'm here at this event joking about the dust devil. Now, the reason I joked about the dust devil is because the dust devil is in oracle cards. People do talk about it during readings. And, you know, a dust devil is not a bad thing. Can it be? Yeah. Everything has positive and negatives, right? So the dust devil can be a positive, as in much like the tarot card, the Tower, can shake things up, right? Can make you a little uncomfortable. It can help you grow. So, you know, maybe you're afraid to go after a job or whatever. So things like that. But the dust devil, now keep in mind, when I said that, according to, now I don't know if I'm always saying all this correctly, so I'm going to apologize now if I'm mispronouncing, because when I get into this spirit book, I know I'm going to be mispronouncing things. I will do the best I can, but this is not my usual, normal, everyday language that I'm reading, okay? So I'll tell you about that book when I get there. When I spoke about this, according to Chicano folklore, dust devils take on a variety of intriguing nomenclature and personification depending on the part of the world in which they're found. Okay. In African, please note African, okay? Because I'm going to talk about that later. African folklore, the dust devil is a shape-shifting demon or sorcerer occupying the body of a human host. Now, keep in mind, Dan Rivera was hosting these events. He was the lead investigator. So he was, in fact, the host. And drawn to suffering, self-destructive souls unconsciously seeking release from pain of their lives. Like I said, dust devils can be for your good or they can be for your bad. It just all depends, right? Just like when we're working with spirits and energies. Are there negative ones? Yes. Are there positive ones? Yes. Can that spirit be both? Yes. That's what I'm going to get into here further in the reading. And also keep note, I might pause you from time to time so I can take some water and take a breath and kind of gather my thoughts. Okay, you have to understand I have a lot of Gemini in my chart, even though I'm a Scorpio, so I can be very much a squirrel. I can bounce subject to subject, and I'm trying to narrow this down to something that I can speak about clearly and try and map it out so it makes sense to the viewers. Okay, so from time to time you may see a pause. And there's a lot, see right now there's a lot of honking outside. So it's, it's the distraction, trying to distract from me from telling you what downloads I'm getting. Okay, so as I did that, talked about the dust devil in that video, I enjoyed my evening. It was fun. We had a great time. It was a release for me to get out and do that event. It's been very chaotic, as a lot of people are experiencing chaos in their life in many different ways right now. I came home and I was dirty. It was sweaty. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a quick rinse off before I hop on my bed. Well, I hear sirens. And I look out my bedroom, my curtains are cracked a little bit. I see all these lights. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, so something's going on in my neighborhood. So pulling my clothes off and I'm peeking out. There's 4 cop cars lined out on the street behind me. And there's an ambulance. And all the lights are lit up. It's like, red, blue lit up. Now that was much like one of the monster trucks that was in Berryville, Virginia when I was there. So you had the metal monster. There was another one, but there was also the one that was this rescue squad. So it was like a little van, little paddy wagon van that was basically like an ambulance. And they had the red and blue lights as well. So that was there. So it was all connecting. Nothing is a coincidence, people. Nothing. Don't let people tell you, oh, that's just a coincidence. No, nothing is. That's why we're here, to get you to wake up and realize and wake up to the signals, the synchronicities, everything that's happening around you. It's happening for a reason. Your guides and universe are trying to wake you up to something that's going on. And even I was oblivious. Now, I did think things were weird. I took a picture of it as soon as I got home, and I sent it to my godchild and my sister, and I was like, whoa, look, we just come for this event. Look what's going on in the back of my house. And my godchild was like, wow, is everything okay? I'm like, I don't know. I said, they just got here. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute rinse off. I'll go out on my deck and I'll take a peek and see what's going on. Come out of the bedroom. Everybody's gone. Nothing. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I go to bed. I wake up Sunday, July 13th. Nothing unusual for me, just a regular day. Me preparing for the work week. I didn't notice anything. Monday evening. Now, let me back up. I did notice there was a fly on my downstairs back door screen door. From time to time, flies are like monitoring spirits. All right. So it happens to me when I travel to the beach. I don't travel out a lot. So when I do, I feel like I'm constantly monitored. What's she doing? Where is she going? It's nosy spirits monitoring where you're at, what you're doing. Sometimes they're monitoring for other people. They're monitoring for other spirits. So a lot of times you just want to kind of shoo them away. You just want to, get rid of them. But I did notice a fly. It was on my screen door, and I'm like, monitoring spirit. Okay, whatever. But I do a lot of saging and stuff, so I do a lot of protection. So I don't 100% worry too much about it. But I am mindful of it. I will tell you that. Okay? I'm mindful of it. So I think I may have even seen that fly Sunday. But I didn't think anything of it. It was still on the screen. I'm like, monitoring spirit, whatever. You're staying on the outside of my house. I'm like, you're not going to see anything. There's nothing going on. Don't worry about what I'm doing. So I may have seen that, but it just may not have clicked. Right? Because I'm so busy. I got a lot going on. But my spirit team is like, they're pounding me. They're like, hey, wake up. Something's going on, There's something we need you to look into. And I'm like, I'm busy, I'm busy in the 3D, I can't always think, especially right now with Uranus moving into Gemini. Like, it's very difficult. But Monday, I'm working, doing my thing. And then it was Monday evening. I let my dog out. And with the AC, sometimes it's really cold for me. So I was like, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to sit on my chair out on my patio and let my dog just kind of wander the yard. And I looked over at the screen, and that freaking fly was there. But then I looked closer, and it was dead. And I went, oh, I gotta look into that. Okay. All right. You hear the horns? Like they were not going off all day until I sat here to come on and do this video. Like, the distractions are unreal. And especially with me being a lot of Gemini. It's like, and that's how it was, me doing the roadmap to what has been happening. So when I noticed that fly on the screen was dead, I went, ooh, okay. So I'm sitting outside, my dog's out wandering, and I'm starting to Google. I'm like, okay, I need to understand, what is it with a dead fly on my outside screen? What is it? So when I pulled it up, it talks about, and I only wanted to really capture, but just so you get an idea, it's not all about evil, right? It can just be negative energies. It can be negative influences in your life. Persistence of evil, okay? And what caught my attention was, in some interpretations, view flies as a symbol of evil or demonic influence. I was like, ooh, okay. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I was like, I don't want to dig into this. I don't know what's going on. I better not have any of that around me. Like, you know what I mean? Especially for us who are readers, who are energy workers, who see beyond the veil. That's not something we really want to get into. We don't want to deal with it. So I subconsciously blocked that out. I was like, okay, well, all right, it's a dead fly, whatever. Now, mind you, that dead fly is still there. I'm keeping it there for a reason, in case, I need to physically go down with people live and show them that this fly's there. I'm not joking you. And it's a big fly. Note that as well. So I blocked it out, and I think I opened up YouTube. Oh God, it was Tuesday or Wednesday. It was one of those 2 days. Here comes the Dan Rivera. And I'm looking at it, and they're like, Annabella, he's on tour, running with the devil. And I'm like, oh, is that what this is about? Oh my God. So this is how I found out, because I do not, number one, would not ever go to even see any of that, be around it. I don't watch the news to catch it. So my spirit team is like, hey, we got something for you. We need you on it. And I'm like, oh no. Because sometimes there's things we don't want to get into. But, our spirit team is like, this is your assignment. And, stop avoiding it. You got work to do. I'm like, okay. So, as everything's been up in my face, I start viewing, these videos. Everybody's reporting on it. Everybody's basically regurgitating a lot of the same information, and I get it. They're trying to get it out there. Everybody's nervous. There's fires happening in Louisiana. There's floods out in San Antonio, Texas, right? And then you've got Dan Rivera passing away suddenly. In Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So this is where we start to get real. All right, people. All jokes aside, I have chills right now. It's uncomfortable, right? I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of these people coming on that are reporting about this, they're kind of reporting what they're hearing, what they think, and it's all in the news. Okay, what I'm reporting is coming from my spirit team, guiding me on where to look and what information to pull. So I do have chills. It is a little uncomfortable because now I'm going to start to get a little real, all jokes aside, okay? So let me pause you for 1 second, because I do want to do my Palo Santo stick real quick once again before we roll over to Dan Rivera, and where I realized I need to delve into this. It is a little uncomfortable. So you'll see a break. It won't be long for you. It'll be a couple minutes for me though. Okay. So I will be right back. Okay. Thanks for the little break. I appreciate that. So let's get into it. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Dan Rivera. All right. Dan Rivera is 54 years old. 54 reduces to 9. We are in the year of the 9. 9s are completions, okay? He was born October 28th, 1971. So he was a Scorpio. So if you're not aware, most Scorpios have psychic abilities, and whether they know this or not, they are telepathic to each other. As a matter of fact, I have a very close coworker. She's a Scorpio, and what I'm thinking, she'll say. What she's thinking, I'll say. Scorpios are very much linked to each other and can telepathically communicate to each other. Just as a side note, okay? He had a lot of Scorpio, so I didn't look at his full chart. I did just do a quick glance at some of the main ones. I didn't pull up as to where he was born and all that. I may do that at another date if I'm called to it. But he was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Scorpio, he had 3 placements in Scorpio. So 1971. In Chinese astrology, that was the year of the pig. Specifically, the pig element metal. Okay? We're back to the metal. Make note. So he was associated with the metal. Now, when you pull up the Chinese astrology, the horoscope, specifically for 1971, for 2025, it did say that there could be possibly some arguments with coworkers. All right? I'm not speculating. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just telling you what the horoscope is talking about. Without getting into all of it, it did say stubborn, okay? I'm stubborn, Some of us are, especially if we have fixed signs, placements. Stubborn, but also naive. So those 2 things. Another thing to point out, that it said, if there was a feeling of illness, anything minor, he was supposed to go to the doctor right away. I don't know if he had a history of not feeling well, and just ignored it, or if that just kind of happened, and so it was maybe a subtle feeling of not feeling well Sunday morning, and saying, hey, I'm not feeling well, telling his coworkers, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to go lay down. If that was just a one-time incident to where it wouldn't have triggered him to think to call to get help, okay? Just a side note, that is coming from his Chinese astrology horoscope, okay? So, he was at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania location. The address is 777. Please note sevens. Sevens is very important. It is throughout this story, throughout my research here. Baltimore Street. Uranus moved into Gemini on July 7th. In some shorts I posted, and I was actually going to do readings. I was going to try and find out what the shock factor was going to be for each of the signs. I never did it. I just wasn't 100% feeling called to do it. So basically, with Uranus moving into Gemini, any of us with strong Gemini placements are feeling very scattered right now. We have not had Gemini and Uranus in our lifetime. I'm feeling it. Anybody with major placements are feeling it. It's very uncomfortable for us. It will retrograde back into Taurus, but not until later in the year. So we will have that break during the winter time where it will go back. And then next fall, it will go full blast forward for 18 years or something like that. Don't quote me. It's going to be there for a while, kind of like Pluto moving into Aquarius. So there's your 7, right? part of what was going to happen, there was a series of things, but one I was pointing out specifically was there was going to be a sudden change in plans. A change in thought, something drastically changing. I was calling it, the surprise. Doesn't always have to be a surprise. It could be the shock factor. The number 7 is a very divine number. So it's very spiritual between human beings and the divine realm, okay? Being able to see beyond the veil. It is about mystery, it's learning, it's testing, highlighting the need for self-awareness, potential for growth through overcoming obstacles, okay? Annabelle, who basically is the little girl that died prior to the nurses or the nurse receiving that second-hand doll from a second-hand store. So it was originally belonged to supposedly a girl named Annabelle Higgins, and she passed away. They're saying she was 6 or 7, but I am hearing 7 more. There's 7 again. Another thing to note, if you're not aware of this and you frequently buy secondhand items, there's a crash outside. If you buy secondhand items, if you like to go to garage sales, anything that's been bought used, please note you have got to cleanse that item prior to bringing it into your house. Do we think any of that happened back when it was bought from the mother to give to the nurse, her daughter that was a nursing student? Probably not. Not saying it would have helped, but there are energies. So like me touching this crystal, okay? My energy is all over it. If I was to wrap this up and ship it to a viewer, you would then have my energy in your home. Whether that's good energy or bad energy, I don't know. Depends on what the day is. So please note that doll was secondhand when it was purchased, okay? The girl was suspected to be about 7 when she passed. Now, before I go on, while we're still kind of early into this reading, I have a warning for Baltimore, Maryland. I was called to the 777 in Baltimore. All right. So I don't know why. I was just going to call it out, but I ended up getting a little more information. So before we continue on, I want to give the warning to Baltimore, Maryland. So let me move this real quick. I Googled because I was like, all right, so why Baltimore, Maryland? Tell me, help me out, spirit team. What's going on? What do I need to find out, right? Like I said, I don't watch the news. I don't pay attention to all the events that go on, So the spirit's like, okay, well, you need to Google and find out. All right. So in Baltimore, did I write this down on another note? I may have did a screenshot. Baltimore, Maryland. I didn't. Hold on. Let me pause you while I find it. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I had to Google it to find it because there was way too many notes for me to write down. Like between this book, my notebook, all the screenshots I'm taking to put all this together would have taken way too long. So Baltimore, Maryland, the reason why I was called to that specific address and why I feel like there is a warning that needs to go out is because the Lord Baltimore Hotel offers ghost tours that explore its reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in the country. This tour delves into the hotel's history of paranormal activity reported by ghosts and staff. Now, Lord, okay, the fly. Let's get back to that fly. When I Googled what spirit is associated with the fly, Beelzebub. Now, hopefully I'm saying that right. Beelzebub. Beelzebub. Lord of the Flies. Lord of Chaos. Okay? This hotel is based on French decor. They have apparently a bistro. So it's very much French based, okay? Beelzebub. Let me find it. Okay. One thing to side note, when you're working with spirits and you call them in and you want to work with them, you have to provide offerings. So in this specific book, okay, I asked for this book during Christmas. I was called to it. I even posted on an Instagram that I was going to do a reading about do spirits exist, right? And I never did it, right? I just wasn't called to do it yet. I recently pulled this out and put it up here and have been I've been drawn to it. I don't know why. Clearly, hello, I know why I'm drawn to it now. So while I haven't done any videos related to this specific encyclopedia, now, before I get into this, I do want to do a shout out. It's the Encyclopedia of Spirits, right? The ultimate guide to magic of fairies, genies, demons, ghosts, gods, and goddesses. Okay? So and I hope I'm not hacking this name up, Judica Illis. Okay? So without this book, I would not have been able to do this deep dive research into this Annabelle Dan Rivera issue had I not had this. So I was called to it for a reason, maybe because they were already planning to take this thing on tour, unbeknownst to me. But for some reason, when I say that we telepathically connect with other Scorpios, I may have been telepathically connecting by, being drawn to this book. They may have been planning this for a while, unbeknownst to me. So the world, like I said, there are no coincidences, people, okay? So back to the fact that it's French. So Beelzebub tends to be conjured by those more inclined to command than cajole. If one wished to offer a bribe, however, bottles of Beelzebub French ale or other items invoking his royal malevolence might do the trick. So Beelzebub is a demon. It is its classification in this book is a demon. All right. Lord of the Flies, Lord of Chaos, Lord of Baltimore. You connecting here? You seeing the synchronicities? Okay. I don't know if I need to tell you too much about this, other than the fact that I wanted you to understand the connection to the French, the connection to the Lord, the chaos, the fly, the demon. Okay, you can Google it and look it up yourself, and read about it. Okay, so the shout out here is, the warning is to be very mindful of showing up at these events. Baltimore, so you have to understand where I live, where 777 Gettysburg location is, the orphanage that this event took place, this tour, is only an hour and 12 minutes from me. So I butt right up to Maryland and Pennsylvania. And it's about an hour or more, maybe an hour and 20 from Baltimore to Gettysburg. So you see it's a connection that's in close proximity. I just feel that specific location needs to be mindful and, be careful about paying to go to these events. The devil is very much associated with materialism. Okay? This devil card is attached to the Annabella shrine box that was made for it, case, all right, is attached to it. And so most of us, it's materialism, obsession, addictions, right? The devil card can be positive too, right? So say there's somebody that you're like, oh man, that guy is hot, or that chick is, look at the rack, right? You know, there's a, hot, I really want that, in a happy, giddy way, right? Being very attracted to somebody. The devil can be that as well, but it can also be extremely negative, as we can see. So there's, like I said, there's positive and negative to everything, every tarot card, every person. There's light and dark. We have all of us, right? Can I get angry? Can I snap at somebody? Sure, right? Can I be happy and love them? Sure, we all are. Spirits are the same way, right? So what I want to do next is, before I get more into this, I want to play something for you related to the metal 7. What else was there? The gloves, metal, and 7. Okay, give me 1 second here.
Life would be, for example, a Ouija board. When you use a physical item to call in a spirit that you have no control or awareness of who the real spirit is you're calling in. An inhuman spirit will say, oh, it's grandma, and how do you know? Prove your grandma. I gave you this on your 10th birthday. Oh, it is grandma. You've allowed the inhuman demonic into your life. And believe me, in 3 to 4 days, you're going to know. So that's the difference of a demonic, earthbound human spirit and the inhuman spirit. Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to introduce you to Dan. You met him in the lobby briefly. He'll tell you, remind him to be sure he tells you about the gloves and what they're.
Be mindful when Dan comes on to speak, you're going to hear him talk about him and handling this doll. And you're also going to notice him talking about the gloves and what happened prior to him using these gloves.
Important on, and after he's done, he and I will be here to take photos and answer any questions. Stuff we didn't talk about, personal stuff, whatever. We'll help you in any way we can on the paranormal. This is Dan Rivera, the lead investigator.
I don't talk as much as Wade.
Okay.
I get right to it. When we go on investigation, I go right into the, dealing with the family and get them the help they need. So I'm really straightforward. If I have to go in combat with demons and everything to get the church involved, that's what we do. Ed and Lorraine, like I said, started this back in 1952. We're still continuing this today. We still work with the church, the traditional Catholic Church. They're the ones that really help us and help us with the...
Listen to the phone. Somebody's phone dings right before he talks about the church and the exorcisms.
Exorcisms. Just like a couple years ago, I think I had in 1 year 7 exorcisms that we had to perform in the church.
7 exorcisms.
So it's just not Annabelle. It's just not
seven.
these haunted items.
Seven.
Seven. Families still. Reason why I built this case because the museum is closed down to the public. So in order for us to still continue, doing...
The museum is closed down to the public, right? So in order for us to continue this, we've got to fool with this doll is basically what he's saying. We've got to open this case up. We've got to do this. We've got to do that, right? And all of it stems back to the devil. Why? Why do we say this? Because they want to continue to make money off of this. Watch how you want to make your money. Okay? You got to be mindful of that, folks. So listen.
That's what Ed and Lorraine has started. I built this case for my protection and also for your protection. There's 3 crosses on here that represents the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's 2 St. Michael plaques on each side. Behind Annabelle, behind the felt, inscribed in the wall is the Lord's Prayer. Infused in the stain is holy water and holy oil. And then we have a priest that comes in once a month and does a blessing on the museum, does the binding rituals and everything. So that's for our protection, especially when we're traveling with the item. Father Bob just traveled with us to New Orleans, San Antonio, and West Virginia just recently. And he's going to be back with us. He's in Portugal right now.
So this priest who blesses this thing once a month, but was on tour with them on all those other sites, he left this site. He went to Portugal. Now we're back to Gemini and Uranus. Change of plans, right? Are you with me here? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? 777. 777 Gettysburg, Baltimore. Baltimore, Maryland. Be very careful. Do not show up at these events. This guy has basically unleashed something that's going to be hard to tame. And the only way to tame it is for people to be aware of what the situation is and stay away from it. So, change of plans. That guy left. I got to go to Portugal. But he was with them on all the other states. Let's continue.
And he's going to be back, and he's going to be traveling with us in September and October again. So yeah, we take great precautions when we handle these items. I don't want to waste your time here by listening to me. If you want to Google or go on YouTube, you can hear my stories. I think on TikTok, there's many places on TikTok, so you can
talk about them
gloves.
Your
Now
gloves.
the gloves, Wade made these gloves for me. Before I used to handle
Who's
Annabelle,
Wade?
I used to just put
I'm looking into that one.
a blanket around my arms to move her. And that wasn't enough. All right, I got into a real bad car accident the first time I moved her.
Bad car accident. So everybody's like, oh, there's nothing related to this doll. There ain't nothing going on. He just said he handled it with regular blanket. And there was an accident. He's going to tell you more before you get into the fact that these gloves were made, and pay attention to what these gloves were made with.
And then there was other things that happened, and I didn't realize till maybe like a year later, until my wife says something. Dan, have you noticed every time you move that doll, something happens? So Wade...
Every time you move that doll, his wife says, every time you move that doll, something happens. So he's saying it here himself. So all these people, are trying to downplay this. I'm here to tell you, you are not downplaying this. I'm telling you, they've opened up a can of worms, the Pandora's box, that's really tough to close right now. And the only way to close it is for everybody to wake up, realize what they're doing, stop paying to go to these events, stop dealing with, paying money to go see this stuff because you're paying into this devil. Wait till I get into this more.
Ahead and had these gloves made for me. In each finger, there's a blessed metal. Saint Michael,
Blessed
Saint
metal?
Benedict, Saint Michael, Saint
Metal.
Benedict. And then we have the crosses on each side. And then these were blessed at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. Wade did this for me for my protection, and I appreciate that. So I try
Wade
not to
did it for his protection.
that
Who's
much
Wade?
anymore. Once she's in this.
Because I got something to talk about when it comes to that metal in those gloves. So he was the pig metal. Wait till I get into this book of the spirits and talk to you about the next, about what was in Dan's bio.
Case, if I have to take her out, it's because I have to do repairs on it. All right. So
How often is she taken out of her case?
I haven't moved her out of this case probably now 2 years.
Okay.
So I have adjusted her, but never taken her out of the
Okay.
case.
Okay, she hasn't been out of the case in 2 years. But I've adjusted her. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So is there a difference between taking her out and opening up that flippin' glass door and going in and fooling with her? What did that sign say? Positively do not touch. I swear I don't mean to laugh, but I'm like, he was known to be naive. Okay, this is where the naivete, you know what I'm saying, him being naive comes into play.
All right. She's not glued into the case, so when we travel,
Right.
she'll move around. All right, but yeah, guys, I want you guys to take pictures, enjoy yourself. Like I said, you're limited on time here. You don't want to hear me talk the whole entire time. So get your pictures, all right? Please, like I said, be respectful. Everybody gets their picture taken. There's merch there. And please exit through these doors here, all right? And when you're done,
Can you answer what is this here?
we'll explain it. Once everybody starts taking
Okay.
pictures.
All right, great. Thank you guys.
I'll push your mind.
Okay.
If you want,
All right, so. All right. Gettysburg location was basically an orphanage, okay, back during the war. And these kids were abused, all right? Keep that in mind. That 777 Baltimore Street, that location was based on an orphanage, all right? Now let's get into the second part of this. Dan's bio states, and this is a people's interview. Dan's bio states that he's an expert in the rites and rituals of Santeria. All right. So what is Santeria? Santeria is Afro-Cuban religion that blends with Yoruba traditions with elements of Roman Catholicism. It's characterized by the worship of orishas, deities, who are believed to be aspect of single supreme God. The rituals like animal sacrifice, divination, and drumming ceremonies. Santeria emerged from the culture retention of Yoruba beliefs among enslaved people in Cuba during the 18th and 19th centuries. So it was a hybrid religion, primarily based out of Africa. Dust Devil told you to remember Africa. You see in the connection here? So, since he was an expert in Santeria, I don't know if he was giving anything back to these orishas that he may have been calling on. Let's get into this. So in the Santeria religion, there's a number of deities that you work with. So in the spiritual realm, most of us, God, universe, whoever the higher power is, right? And in this religion, they have they call it a different higher power, but it's basically like we say God, right? Or, the universe, right? And then there's the hierarchy, right? So there's like the pecking order, right? So then you've got Almighty God, universe, or whatever larger source you believe in. And then underneath that are, spirits, deities, fairies, demons, all these, it's the go-between the realm, okay? And they do the work for the higher source and also help us when we call upon them. Now, are spirits dangerous? They can be. Sure. Can people be dangerous? Sure. It all depends on who you're dealing with. Depends on what you're asking for. And are you giving them something back? So for an example, if there's a specific spirit you want to call on, that spirit might like cigars. They might like a special liquor. They might like a fruit. These are things that you offer to them. So if you're not offering things to them and you call upon them, they're not going to help you. You got to work with them, right? It's no different than if you're going to go to the store, you're going to just walk out with that bag of chips. I mean, you could. You might get caught. But you pay money for it, right? There's an exchange. So even in the spiritual world, there is an exchange. I thank my spirit team all the time. I always say in a lot of my readings, you'll hear me say, I'm short for time. I'm a one-man band over here, working a full-time job. Got a dog, got to clean. I'm trying to do YouTube and, trying to see family, and I got to mow the lawn. I got to do it all, right? So when I go to the store, I really like to just have a front row spot to park in, a good spot so I can get in and get out of the store so I can just kind of keep moving. And that happens a lot for me. And I thank my team for that, right? I'm always recognizing my ancestors and my spirit team and my guides, that are around me. I thank them because they guide me. But if you're not doing something in return, no, they're, you got to work with them. And you got to know how they work. So the two orishas that I noticed were related to Yoruba. So Yoruba is part of this Santeria religion in Africa, I guess, part Africa, Cuba, hybrid mixing with Christianity, okay? So he was an expert in that. So of course, I wasn't there. I don't see if he offers anything up. I don't know if he's sacrificed, because apparently to sacrifice, which I'll read here for you, you would need to sacrifice chickens, goats, you would lay out yams. Do we think he was doing that? I don't know. Because there's an interesting part to this related to the metal. So the two deities that work together in the origin of Yoruba, one is Ogun, the other is Orisha Oko. So let's go to Ogun. You like all my... I was running out of paper placements as I was, flipping and downloading and mapping. So let me put this here real quick. Okay. Ogun is the West African spirit of iron. Okay. So he was metal. He had metal in those gloves that were blessed with holy water. Okay. Just keep that in mind as we're going through this. He is iron. So Ogun is iron. Okay. That is what he is made of. Hold a knife or a horseshoe in your hand and you hold Ogun. Ogun is a patron of metal workers who traditionally also serve as shamans, sorcerers, healers, and ritual leaders. Okay? So it's not like Ogun was bad, terrible, right? I mean, he worked with healers, shamans, healers, ritual healers, okay? Ogun is also a patron to anyone who works with metal in any capacity, including jewelers, surgeons, law enforcement officers, chefs, cab and bus drivers, soldiers. Now, Dan Rivera, thank you for his service, was an Army veteran. The list is endless. Veneration of Ogun is at least as old as Iron Age, which in Africa began approximately 500 BCE. According to Yoruba creation myth, Ogun led the Orishas to earth and helped them survive and adjust. He cuts paths through all thickets and obstacles with a machete. Ogun is a cultural hero. So the fact that, he came down, he was able to help them clear paths, right? To be able to build, right? To be able to work. So that was, the good thing that he had done. He taught people how to iron work, as well as magical and spiritual rituals, hunting and warfare. Although not a spirit of agriculture, Ogun is one of the first crafted the tools that make agriculture possible. Okay? So he's the beginning of our agricultural. Ogun is considered with ambivalence. He is a healer who also causes violent death. Knives, guns, swords, guillotines. Ugh. And if you don't know what that is a device that beheads you. Tanks are a few of his tools. He is a patriarch who protects orphans. 777 Baltimore Drive. Dogs are going off now. Dogs in the hood are going off. I'm getting through this. Street, Baltimore Street. That was an orphanage. So he protects orphans and houses the homeless. Ogun is venerated throughout Western Africa and appears in virtually every African diaspora tradition. Special note: Ogun hates liars. Thus, there is a Nigerian tradition of swearing oaths on iron in the same manner that oaths are sworn on the Bible elsewhere. Should the oath be broken, Ogun will execute justice. So here you have a spirit who can do good, right? Beginning of agriculture, protects the orphans, houses the homeless, gives you the tools to be able to build and make pathways, right? He does good. But if you F him over, if you lie, if you break an oath, he's going to seek justice. Dogs are going off outside. Horns, dogs now. He expresses anger through accidents. Do you remember the clip I just showed you? When I told you Dan Rivera talks about accidents. He got into a bad accident dealing with that doll, opening up that case when he was just wrapping blankets around his hands. And his wife's like, don't you notice every time you touch that doll, something happens? Oh, don't let people downplay this. They're telling you this on all their videos. They're explaining this to you. Accidents involving metal. He had metal in his gloves. So did they think that by putting holy water on this metal that he was going to be able to work with this spirit that's iron? Did he think that it was helping him? Did he think it was going to repel? Because some metals contain iron and they attract. They don't repel. Not everything repels. It attracts. Including car crashes. He had a bad car crash. Train wrecks, guns, knives, ... It continues. You guys. His bio says he's an expert in the rites and rituals of Santeria. Ogun. I haven't even gotten to the other one yet. This is Ogun. What oath did you break? Did you not sacrifice something for this? Look. This is why they say to not mess with something you don't completely understand. It's so much easier to walk in love and light and deal with your shadow and work on your shadow, but don't chase other dark shadows you don't know everything about. I don't know everything about it. But let me tell you something. My spirit team has got me all over this encyclopedia, flipping pages left and right. There's a section on demons. There's all these sections, and they're calling to me to all these sections. So right now it is a little scattered for me, and I'm trying to condense it down to make sense. But I hope that you're understanding where I'm getting with this. you know, it could very well have been his own Orisha he was dealing with. He could have ticked off his own Orisha by messing with this doll, breaking an oath. Was he under oath with Ed and Lorraine Warren about not opening up this case and not moving her? Did he break that oath? Because he was worried that their museum, people were not going to be able to, because my understanding was, and I'd have to Google it again, but the territory land was being taken over, right? And so people weren't going to be able. So again, back to the devil. Oh no, we're not going to be able to make money off of this anymore. What can we do? Oh, I know. We'll take her on a tour around the United States. I mean, she moves, so what? I open it. I'm not taking her out, you know? I'm just touching her. I'm just shaping her back up. Look, you guys, another synchronicity, all right? He passed away July 13th. 13 is the death card. Scorpionic energy. Scorpio. Death, transformation. The Conjuring movie was released about this doll, Annabelle, in 2013. Are you following the synchronicities yet? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Do you see where I'm getting at? Now, the death card, Scorpionic energy, does not always mean death. There's positive and negative to everything, light and dark, good, evil. The positive is transformation. Scorpios know how to do that. Scorpios get their asses knocked over left and right, and they have to rise from the ashes. They have to rebuild themselves. They pick themselves back up. They start again. They come back stronger. They learn from their lessons. He was naive, though. He was a naive person, and he was stubborn. Was he arguing with coworkers, possibly, about how all this was being handled? I don't know. Because they want to continue. They know what this is about. They know what chaos, Lord of Chaos, they know what this is doing. It's right in front of them. But are they still attached to the devil making money on this tour? $50 a ticket, people. Step right up. Come into the fun house where anything goes. Really? No. So the synchronicity, the Conjuring, the movie came out on the 13th. So he dies on the 13th. Look. All right. So let's get in to the other Orisha. Okay. Let me pause you 1 second. All right. Thanks for the quick little break. Okay. So let's go to Orisha Oko. So the classification is Orisha. So they, like I said, work between the higher power and us. So that they are the in-between. Orisha Oko is most commonly described as a former hunter who decided to farm instead. Just give me a yam. I'm good. You couldn't have put out an orange potato? Come on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Dan Rivera was doing this, and I don't mean to make light of it, but, you know, we need to use common sense, because when you are doing exorcisms, okay, and you're constantly exposing yourself, are you working with your spirits properly? Are you giving them what they need for them to help you? Okay, all truthfully, that doll should have been removed. completely. But everybody was like, oh, devil, we can make money off this. Fame, rich. Well, look what happens. Okay, devil don't play around. Demons don't play around. Okay, you're not going to win. Now, I also have a suspicion that he was possibly in a position where he upset one of the spirits he was working with, Orishas. Like I said, they may have decided to not protect him. They may have not liked the way something was handled. We weren't there. We were not there 24/7. So just because the doll was not in the room with him doesn't mean that he wasn't going to be taken down. Okay? You can't believe that. He is closely associated with rituals of agricultural magic. In standard descriptions of the Orishas, Orisha Oko is usually described as the judge who settles disputes, especially among women. Those aren't just any disputes, they are usually accusations of witchcraft. It takes one to know one. Orisha Oko is a wise sorcerer of earth magic who protects against witchcraft and heals its effects. Because accusations of witchcraft were insignificant compared to other issues during the development of African diaspora faiths. Let me read that again to myself real quick. Give me a second. Because accusations of witchcraft were insignificant compared to other issues during the development. Orisha Oko is most familiar with Western Hemisphere. As an Orisha of farming in Africa, however, Orisha Oko remains a deity very closely associated with witchcraft. Disputes regarding accusations or suspicions of witchcraft were traditionally resolved by rituals in his shrines. His devotees are largely female devotion. To Orisha Oko, accusations of witchcraft forge links to this Orisha. Once accused, and presumably, if one survives the accusation, then one is expected to form a relationship with the Orisha Oko that will continue throughout generations. Orisha Oko manifests his anger through unyielding, infertile, earth and barren women. Manifestation. Orisha Oko may manifest as female or male, but usually described as a male. Attribute. An iron staff made from a hoe blade. Spirit allies, works closely with Ogun, who forges his tools. I feel like there was an argument. Like I said, could have been prone to an argument with a colleague, but there may have been two different spirits, orishas, settling a dispute on how this was being handled. Yeah, so y'all, I don't know if Dan Rivera understood how he was supposed to be working with spirits, or if anybody he was working with, there was a lot of them working this together, even though he was the head investigator. I don't know. You know, the whole thing is messing with something beyond us, right? I don't think that they should be taking this thing on tour. It's causing them issues, okay? It's materialism, right? How can I make money off of this? The Conjuring movie, right? How can I make money? At least Ed and Lorraine kept it in the box and didn't open it and kept it, closed. It wasn't until Dan Rivera was in panic mode of keeping this thing alive, right? Keeping the legacy alive and being able to show it to people. It never should have been moved. I think there was an oath broken. And don't forget, Ed and Lorraine are on the other side. So they are watching. It doesn't mean that they aren't part of this. Shutting the show down. I did pull cards yesterday when I started going through this. And I was just curious because of Dan, now having lost his life, leaving behind his wife and his kids, did he feel this tour needed to be continued? I flat out got a yes. There's an ambulance. Then cards came out after stating, if you're going to do this, you would need to be very careful in how you're doing this. Taking precaution, moving slowly, moving with intention, and they haven't been doing that. They're opening that case way too much, and as you can see, there is chaos going on everywhere. Do you hear the ambulances? Nothing is a coincidence. So that's what I have for you for right now. I just needed to get something off my chest because the hits are coming left and right. Baltimore, Maryland, please be careful with Lord Baltimore Hotel. I do predict that could be another tragedy waiting to happen. They want to go where they're welcome. These, type of negative energies are on the loose, and they want to go where people are pulling it in. People are paying to go do this. They're taking paranormal, equipment into these hotels, and they're all excited about it. That hotel back during the Depression, there was so many suicides. Don't mess with it, people. Don't mess with it. That doll should have been burned a long time ago. Why on earth they would keep something like that going, I have no idea. I don't want to delve too much deeper into it unless I'm called. So I may do a little bit of more research on Dan Rivera to get a little understanding, because, you know, he did experience paranormal activity as a child in his home, so he was prone to it. I was guided to it a little bit growing up, but I stayed away from it. And so I continue to stay away from that. That is not something, you know, that's what the devil wants. The devil wants you to keep them going. They want you to be possessed. They want you to be obsessed. They want you to overeat, overdrink, oversmoke. They want you doing that. They want you in negative, low vibrational energy. That's what it feeds on. But if it feeds too much, a higher source is going to come in. And if they have to take you out, that's probably what's going to happen, because our God creator is not going to let the devil, lower energies, take over this world. So as you're going to see, whether Dan Rivera, you know, I think just it was a mishandling. You know, I don't think he was a bad person. He was honest, you know. I think he was trying to really help people. But I think it got a little too carried away, and it got a little sucked into the devil, because don't forget that devil tarot card is taped to that box where Annabelle sits. Nothing is coincidence. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Hit the like button, share, subscribed, and I'll see what else I can pull out of this. Like I said, I just had to get something off my chest now because it's too much. I know it was all over the place, but the hits are coming at me left and right. That's how my spirit team works with me. I just have to learn how to figure out how to convey it to you guys. So much love and light. Stay safe. We all have shadow. Work on those shadows. Don't be afraid of those shadows, but don't go chasing those shadows either, right? Don't go chasing dark things that you don't know about. Unless you're willing to sacrifice and provide yams, you know, that's something. You open that door to that, you are accustomed to not break that oath. I feel like an oath was broken. So anyway, much love and light. Work on your shadow. Talk to you soon.